I'm standing here with Bob Cook, and we've just had a chance to look at the landscape buffer easement behind Shoreham and Thornbrook along the Victoria Park wall. And I want to introduce Bob and let him explain a little bit about Ganoderma.
Sure enough. Ganoderma, the genus or the scientific name of this fungus we've observed in some of the palms here in Stonebridge. Is the scientific name of this fungus that gets into palm trees. Another common name for it is butt rot. It's called that because often this mushroom pops up usually from the trunk of a palm from chest high or lower. This is a palm-specific problem. It gets into any palm in the landscape. Obviously, we found quite a few areca palms that have this disease in it. The first year starts off as a small little blob. Second year it turns into a large shelf, and it spreads from there. I think one of our greatest concerns short-term is some of these palms are dying, stem by stem. So far the treatment has been cutting down those stems. That works temporarily, but the plant is still infected with this disease. Long-term, I think the greatest concern is now this is what we call a spore factory. Now this fungus is spitting out spores, especially during rainy season, and it can move on to neighboring palms, any palm in the landscape. We've seen some of the queen palms here as well. So that is a big concern. I'm in the chemical business. I sell fungicides. I wish we had a fungicide that worked against this disease. There's no chemical prevention for Ganoderma, and there's no cure as well. And so far, the best approach is either with a saw or a shovel, removing these infected plants. All right, so getting back to the shovel idea. Let's say we have an infected palm, we dig it up and we discard it. That soil cannot be effectively sterilized or cleansed because every teeny little root segment still has some of the fungus in it. Therefore, the University of Florida for over 10 years have been saying, don't replace these palms with another palm. As those new palm roots move into that area, they can become reinfected. So the idea is pass on palms for replacing in the today's inspection, as we walk through those arecas, they're green. They appear to be healthy. They look in decent shape, and some have been replaced with new palms. Something weird about this fungus, it only moves into wood. So as we have an areca with many stems, we have the juvenile stems, the green ones, they're not apparently infected yet. The roots are. So the fungus finally shows up on the woody stems. So if we, let's say, dig them all up and replace them with young arecas, it would take them a few years until they develop woody trunks. Then that fungus moves into the woody trunk and the disease cycle continues. So what's next? Clearly we've identified a problem. We have several palms in this community that are infected with a fungal disease. And so the approach, Dr. Doug Caldwell at the University of Florida and I are getting our heads together, and we're going to come up with some recommendations for possible replacements, doing some changes so that long-term this disease is no longer a threat to all the other palms in the landscape.